Hi everyone, this is Joe Chaikin from Align Fitness. Welcome to our Downtown studio. Today we are going to go through some golf-specific exercises, and I'll give you a frame of reference as to a lot of what we're going to do to help you determine whether or not the exercises we do are things that you need and should be doing regularly, or if they're just good for you to do as part of your warm-up or incorporate it to your regular training. So the structure for today, because here's our plan of action, is going to be over the next 45 minutes. We're going to go through some mobility exercises first. And if you happen to have the chance to check out the live video yesterday on either Facebook or Instagram, a lot of the stuff we did yesterday in those live videos, it'll actually be in here. Really good mobility drills for everybody, but definitely for golfers. From mobility, we're going to transition to stability. So that's just basically core function, turning your glutes on, turning your hips on, making sure your anterior core is awake and functional. From there, we'll be super golf specific in that we're going to work on separation, separating the top from the bottom and the bottom from the top, because as we all know, that's one of those X factors in golf to really create a whole lot more power without even necessarily having to get any stronger. And then I'll give you some additional exercises, all have body weight today since most of you are stuck at home, that'll also help supplement your game or improve the physical attributes you need to be a good golfer. So let's start off with some mobility. We're going to work our way for the first three at least from the ground up. So the first thing I want to work on is just a lateral leg swing, which again was in yesterday's video. So we're going to do two things in this. We're going to try to mobilize the ankle joint laterally, left to right, and at the same time we're going to mobilize the opposite hip. So I'm going to create this pendulum effect of a swinging leg, but it's about more than that, since we also want the ankle involved. As I swing this right leg, which I'm going to do in a second, when my right leg comes across my body, I want to get in the outside part of that left foot. So I'm actually going to encourage you to open your foot up laterally every time. So like the big toe, the instep, all that's going to come off. So here's what I mean by that. I'm going to go 10 reps. I'm going to swing this right leg way off to the right, and then across, and when I come across, that's when my left foot opens up. So big swing right, and across to the left. If you're looking at that left foot there, you can see purposely right there, I'm getting on the outside. That's completely on purpose to help open up that ankle joint a little bit. Also notice I'm doing all I can to be stable up top. So I'm pushing into the wall a little bit, my abs are on, that way my entire body isn't wiggling around. We actually get something out of that ankle and that opposing hip. So let's call that 10. Let's switch sides now. So again, I'm going to push into my wall. Right leg now becomes my base. Left leg will become my pendulum, if you will. So again, when I'm out there, foot stable, right foot that is. When I'm there, I'm on the outside part of that right foot. So let's go. Push into that wall. Allow that right ankle to turn. You go across your body. And really start to fight for a really big swing now. So you notice I'm progressively getting higher and higher with that left ankle, but not going there to help accommodate. All right, there we are. So it's a nice little warm-up to start for everyone before you're going to hit balls or play. Next up, let's go hip drops. So I'm going to end up laying on my back, setting up similar to what I might do if I were going to bridge, but I'm going to take my feet wider and then drop my knees back and forth. This is another one where we want to stabilize a certain part of your body so we can mobilize another part of your body. So I'm going to lay with my back to you so you don't get a shot that you don't want to get at me, and I'm going to be glued down with my shoulder blades the entire way. So here's what I mean by that. I'm on my back, my knees are bent, my feet are going to be really wide. So if I was going to bridge, I'd be somewhere around my hip width. I'm wider than my shoulders in this case. Hands are going to be down and glued to the ground, particularly thinking about my shoulder blades. They're not allowed to leave. Both knees are dropping off to the left. The left knee should hit the ground for most of you. The right knee might not. That's okay. You get as close as you can. And then once you're out of room, we switch. So this is dynamic, just like that lateral leg swing was. Back and forth, back and forth. Keep the width of your feet. If you're starting to narrow accidentally, that's okay. Just readjust, get the feet wider, and continue on. The bigger the gap between those feet, the more you're going to get out of this for your hip joints. And we're not so worried about what you're feeling, but there's a good chance you'll feel a little stretch in the trail legs hips. So for me right now going right, I feel my left side, and then obviously vice versa. Let's go one more here. All right, done. So let's go to change one more link here. So if you have a really good shoulder turn and a really good turn in general, you have to have mobility in the middle part of your spine. I'm sure you don't care about this, but it's called your thoracic spine. So the goal now is to mobilize your thoracic spine. You can do this in a lot of different ways. We're going to go kneeling for most people. However, if you have a knee issue, or really an issue that, for whatever reason, prevents you from kneeling and being stable enough to do any sort of movement, just grab a chair, and you're going to put a leg up on that chair. And try to be nice and stable through this up leg as we create movement of our top half. So for our purposes, I'm going to stay on the ground. We're going to go 5 reps on this. So we're going to turn in one direction with the torso only. It's always going to be over top of the knee. So if I got my left knee down, my right leg in front of me, I establish 90, 90, 90 bends at my hip and my knee and my ankle. So from a lateral perspective, there you are. All I'm going to do here is get nice and tall. I'm going to pinch my glute so I've got a stable platform underneath me so I can create a nice big turn over top of that knee. Now, we don't want that knee to follow. We want that knee just to stay in place. So if you've lost the knee, you probably lost your glute. So squeeze them nice and tight. Try to keep them engaged throughout. I'm going to go one more. Every time you try to fight for just a little bigger turn if you can. So hopefully you felt your middle spine there. There's a chance you could have felt your low back, something else. That's okay. If you feel limited on that, that's definitely something that you want to continue to do. And if you're someone who has a limited shoulder turn, definitely get that in your life. So I'm reorganized. My glutes are on for stability again. This is real big turn over that knee. You notice I'm not allowing my hips to shift laterally, and I'm just coming back to center. Very unfancy, but very effective. Let's go 3 more. If you've lost your glutes, squeeze it again. Make sure your left knee isn't following you to the left as you turn over that knee. Last one. And relax. All right, next up, something a little bit funky. This normally should be done without sneakers on. So if you're home, probably already have your sneakers off, you're good to go. If you can slide them off real quick, go ahead. So I'm going to give you kind of a general means of determining which leg you need this on. If it doesn't become obvious to you, I'm going to ask you to mobilize your left side if you're a righty, and your right side if you're a lefty. Here's what we're going to do without thinking too much about it. Just give me a march. And then let's put the feet down and take a peek at where you are. Now, what often will happen is one foot's turned out more than the other. So for me, my prediction holds true for myself at least. My right leg stayed nice and straight, or my right foot rather. My left foot had a turnout. So we're going to address that left foot and left ankle for me. Whichever foot you had the turnout on, that's the side I want you to address. But in most cases, a righty has an issue left and a lefty has an issue right. What the hell does this even mean? Well, if you think about a golfer, let's say specifically a righty, you obviously have a little bit of flare of that left foot. If they have limitations in that foot and that ankle, what that would equate to is an inability to do a good job of posting on that left foot. You can see how open my left foot is. So it's okay to open up a little bit, but if I run out of room through that ankle, through that foot, I'm going to end up in a funky, compensated position. So that's why we're going to do what we're going to do. So here's the deal. We're going to go towards the side of your limitation. For me, it's going to be to the left. So move 1, shift. So I just got my weight there. Now I'm going to look to my left, and I'm going to bring everything to the left rotationally, but in sequence. Shoulders now go, belt buckle, imaginary belt buckle now goes, and I'm even thinking about spinning my shin. But here's the deal, look down at your foot. The instep has got to be flush to the ground, otherwise we're not accomplishing a thing. So make sure you're glued there, and slow control will come right back. So again, we're going to shift, look, shoulders, belt buckle, shin, get to our end point. I literally have no more room to turn left. We actually hold for a 5 count. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and back. And if you care, this is called the ankle supination drill. Shout out to Megan Dupree who taught me this a while back. We're going to go one more for our purposes and shut this down. There I am, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. And that really can make a big difference for someone who has an issue posting on that lead leg in their finish and getting into a really good finish position in their swing. All right, we got through our mobility. We're going to do some stability next. It's a fancy way of saying core. Now, if you are a follower of Titleist and the information that they put out, you'll see a pretty consistent theme in their thinking, and mine is lined up with that. Crunches and sit-ups, if you still do them, I'm not going to tell you got to stop. But what I will say for sure is they're not going to help your back health, and they're not going to help your golf game. It's all about stability, more so that we want to isometrically be able to stabilize and brace and stay in certain positions at certain times. That's what core stability is really all about. And as it relates to your golf game, that's what actually matters. So I can't stop you from doing crunches and sit-ups, but I can at least recommend that you get into more stability-based work, which I'm about to teach you right now. So the king in golf, if you listen to TPI, are the glutes. The glutes really produce a lot of our power and a lot of our drive when we're getting into that finished position with that lower body. So without glutes, you're going to be in trouble. Let's start to work a little bit on just some basic bridging exercises. So for most people, bridging exercises will seem easy, but what we're going to do is I'm going to give you three or four different iterations of the bridge, and it's going to be your call to figure out where you actually belong in this. So if you end up going into the bridge and you feel your low back grab, or you feel like your hamstring on the down leg and we're one-sided is dominating, you probably went one step too far. We really want to force these glutes into play the best we can. So here's the idea. I'm going to hit the deck. We're going to start off with just the basic bridge, which is 2 feet down. Probably going to be too easy for you. I hope it is at least. So here I am. Now, I like to set a couple of different things to stabilize before I go anywhere. So I think about bringing my ribs down and in towards one another. So this would be the opposite. My ribs are spread wide open right now. I'm an extension of my spine. I want to close the gap a little bit on those ribs and turn my abs on. This stays the case the entire way through. So now I'm just stable there. From this position, I'm going to squeeze my glutes and drive my hips up nice and high. So my driving force is through the glutes. And if you put a little bit more weight into your heels, in fact, you can even elevate those toes up, you should be able to get more of your weight distributed into your glutes and use them a bit better. All right, so come on a ride with me here now. I'm going to give you 2 more versions of this. So I want you to narrow your base. We're going to now go into a stacked bridge. So this is a little harder. Logically, we're going from single leg to double leg. However, we're not taking out all the way to this left leg yet, in some respects because it's connected to my right leg. So literally, sole of the sneaker, sole of your foot, on the other thigh, everything's the same. Ribs down in, abs on. Glutes driving up to the top, and you're trying to maximize the height that you can get. And again, the goal is that glute. So if your hamstring just grabbed into a Charlie horse, this might not be the right thing for you and regress back to our previous. I'm going to give you one more here. All good. Now let's switch it up. Let's just do 2 to even out. If again that didn't work for you, stay with your single-legged bridge. Now a lot of times there are differences in glute function from left to right. So on one side you might be good, the other side not so good. Either way, really fight for glute action. Now here's a pretty advanced version of this. So this is called a Cook bridge from a guy named Gray Cook. So now we're going to disconnect this foot from the other thigh. Just going to make life a little harder and a little bit more unstable. So if you can do this, good for you, and you must have decent glute function. So ribs down in, abs on. Going to really pinch that glute and drive my hips up as high as I possibly can. Gently back down. All right, we've done a fair amount of bridging, so let's just go 3 here and 3 on the other. Again, pay attention to see if you have right to left differences. If you do, attack the difference. Go after that weaker side with more reps, assuming you're not getting your low back involved or a Charlie horse in that hamstring, that is. One more coming. All right, relax. So I'll give you 3 different versions of your bridge. Figure out which one's most appropriate for you. So you want to be challenged, but you don't want to get all crampy in that hand. All right, so from here, I want to go into something called the boss position. This is just a means of teaching you how to stabilize everything before we do a plank, or really, for now, we're just going to talk about a plank. So here's the deal. When we're up in a plank position, whether we're elbows or straight arms, most people think about their abs and their abs only. But I don't want to stack everything and organize it and keep it in the right place. So with that said, we've got to think about more than our abs, because if just the abs are involved, we have no glutes, we're going to have a sag of our pelvis. If our shoulder blades aren't set, we might have a rounded upper back. We're not encouraging anything good there. We're in a bad pattern, we're reinforcing a bad pattern. Let's get out of the bad pattern and get into a good one. So, we're going to start off with the hips here. I just want you to take your pointer finger and your middle finger on your ASIS. That is the pointy part of your pelvis that sticks forward. You might have to play around a little bit to find it. And then we're going to wrap your thumb back and around. So you're basically grabbing your own pelvis here. Weird, I know. So from here, we're going to play around with the tilt of your pelvis. So natural tilt's a little forward. So if I had a bowl of water here, some of the water spilling out of the front. All I'm going to ask you is play around with a position that to you feels really nice and natural, and there's no stress anywhere. Once you found your sweet spot, squeeze your glutes. So now glutes are in, we just lock in our pelvis and part of our lower spine. Next, ribs down and in, abs on, just like in our bridge. Shoulders down and back, head neutral, and finally, lock your knees and fire your quads. So when we translate this to the plank, the anterior stuff, the stuff in the front, is easy to get on and stay on. It's sort of automatic. It's the posterior stuff that's going to be your challenge. So relax, shake it out for a second. Same process, let's do it quick. Find your sweet spot with your pelvis, glutes, ribs down in, abs, shoulders back, head neutral, lock knees, fire quads. 5, 4, get tight, check, 2, 1, relax. Now when you go to a plank, high plank, low plank, elevated plank, whatever it may be, you want all those things involved. And those are all the same things you want in a deadlift or a kettlebell swing, because again, it's all about stability. So I'm going to do a high plank. If your preference is low plank, I'm not going to pick on you. If you know planking is a little hard for you and you like a high plank, you just put your hands up on a couch or on a bench or on a chair, something that's stable that won't slide out from underneath you. That makes it a little bit easier. And over time, you'll lower the height until you're on the ground like I'm about to be now. So here's our deal. I'm going to have hands down underneath my shoulders. I kind of start off with my knees under my hips. I like to set everything before I assume the position. So my ribs are down and in, my abs are on, my shoulder blades are down and back. So like this would be the opposite of what we want. You notice I'm sinking a little bit, and I'm trying to put my shoulder blades into my back pocket. From here, I'm just going to walk those legs out. So again, the automatic stuff, abs and quads, they should just be there simply. We've got this nice straight line from head to heel, you notice. The things I'm fighting for are in the back or posterior. So I got my glutes on, and I'm really fighting to set my shoulder blades down and back. Now you might see me shake, and you're laughing to yourself saying, he's not real fit. Well, not the case. I actually want to activate really aggressively, and if I do enough of that, I can get a really significant shake. You know what, if I loosen up, notice my shake's all gone. So I'd rather, when you spend your time in your front plank, you get as tight as you possibly can. All right, let's move right along. So from here, I want to go some side plank work. I'm going to give you 3 different options yet again. It's your job to figure out where you want to be. So, side plank option A. We're going to go elbow. If you're on a hard surface, I would do something to give yourself a little bit more cushion. So my elbow is going to be down. It's got to be directly under my shoulder. Otherwise, the stress becomes shoulder-based, not core. That is not what we want. So, elbow on the shoulder. I'm going to stagger my legs here. So from this position, you notice my right foot's forward, that's my top leg. My back foot's back, that's my bottom leg. I'm going to lift. Now you can start off with the hand here if you need to. Ideally though, you're here. And this is an anti-rotation exercise. So we're trying to keep that right shoulder back, not let it round forward, which is what it absolutely wants to do. Come on down, chill for a sec. Now, let's progress that one little step. I'm giving myself more cushion. Now we're going to stack the legs up. So the base is more narrow. Logically, this is going to be harder. So we're going to get up again. So just harder than what it just was a second ago. Come on down and relax. All right, now, here's your real challenge. Give it a try if you feel like you got a shot at this. I'm going to go back to my staggered stance, but I'm going to throw a rotation of my torso into this. So I'm stable low, but I'm rotating up top. So it's a really nice challenge where I have to be really stable in certain segments and I'm mobile in others. Sounds like golf, doesn't it? So here's my deal. Elbow on the shoulders. Stagger that stance. The right leg is still forward on our left elbows. We're up nice and high. Here's your challenge. Take your right hand, rotate underneath, reach as far back as you can, and return. If this is too much, just stay in this plank position right now and take out the rotation. Let's go 3 more here. Relax. Let's switch that thing up. The same idea. So now you hopefully know which of those 3 options is ideal for you. Go right to your ideal option, please. Set my mat up in the same manner so I got a little cushion. So now if I'm on my right elbow, I'm going to stagger my left foot forward, my right foot back. Also, another quick note, pull my toes up towards my nose. That gives me a little bit more lateral surface area on the ground. It makes my life slightly easier. So we're going to go up. If you're static, you're static. If you're going to rotate, go for it. If we're rotating, I'm inhaling down. Exhale, we go. Really fighting for good hip height. Last one done. And relax. So the significance of your side plank, well, a lot of golfers have a hard time just staying over top of the ball. And what do we mean by that? Well, they set up and they slide or they sway. So let's say you're a righty, and you take the club back, instead of doing a good job of firmly planting and staying on that right leg base, hips will slide away from that ball. Same time in your downswing, instead of doing a good job of staying on this base, hips slide. So sway away or slide towards, neither one is good. So if we're working on side plank, that'll help to some degree with lateral stability. In theory, you do a better job of staying over the ball, you're more efficient, and your swings are more predictable, and your ball flight's a little bit more predictable as a result of that. All right, it's time to get to some separation work. So here's the story. If you happen to have a stick or a club floating around, grab it. If not, this will still work. Now this is one that we can either determine if you need in your program or not. I would say do this in front of the mirror or video yourself on your phone to determine if this is an area of need or not. And again, this is really the X factor separating to really maximize club head speed and distance. So here's the idea before I use my stick for the exercise. We're going to assess this right now. So unfortunately, self-assessment is hard if you don't have a mirror or the capacity to see yourself. But here's where we're going to go. Golf posture. Let's cross the arms up over the chest. Here's your goal. Top half is a statue. We are going to turn our hips left to right rotationally, but you're not allowed to let the top half move. So here's where we're going to go. Because I'm a righty, I'm going to go into my backswing first. So I'm turning my belt buckle off to the right. There's people on the right of the room, and I want them to see this belt buckle. Slow control, I'm turning. And now I'm off to the left, and I want to show them my belt buckle. So I'm going to give you an example. One more of good. Okay, reasonably stable up top. Bad. Or there might be a lag in the shoulders following you. So it's the first thing we're going to look at, or you're going to look at independently of what we're doing. The second one is, can you move the torso independent of the hips and the lower body? So again, we get in golf posture, cross our arms over the chest. Now, if you happen to have like a stick or a club available, this will help you figure out your plane, because sometimes we do shrugs and other weird stuff to help create the illusion of a bigger turn. So if you have it, I have it in front of me. My arms are crisscrossed. I have an X going here. I get into my golf posture. Now, my belt buckle is not allowed to move, and that's just one reference. Really, the whole lower body is supposed to be nice and stable. So from this position, I'm going into a shoulder turn left, and actually, in your backswing, you keep the head down so you don't pick up a bad habit. Slow control, we're going into our finish. Now, this isn't necessarily about how big the turn is, it's about how well you separate. So let's go one more here. Hopefully I'm giving you a really good example. Now, here's your bad example. It's all going together, and there isn't that clear separation, kind of that got the waistline from top half to bottom half. So, you need this, apparently. So let's do this then. If you have club or stick available, great. If you can hold on to a wall or a chair, all good. Any of these options help. So we're going to do the hip twister, which is the first thing we evaluated, but I'm going to provide you with a little bit of assistance. So your assistance is either club or stick, wall, or even holding on to like a folding chair. So here's our deal. This is now your exercise if we determine you need it. Upper body's a statue. I can drive this down into the ground a little bit. Golf posture best you can with everything minus your arm position. And we're going to turn. So let's go 5 each way. So that's 5. Let's start. 1 right, 1 left. And we're going to continue with that pattern. And again, your focus now is stable up here, but mobile down there. Again, one of the I'd say probably the number 1 or number 2 attribute, this capacity to really hit good drive. Let's go 1 more, right and left. Done. Now, I gave you a mobilizer earlier as one of the first exercises where we kneeled and we turned. So that could be 2 things. It could be a mobilizer, or it could be the way you work on your separation top from bottom if you really struggle with this. So for those who are not struggling, and for everybody right now, let's give this guy a shot. We're going to get into golf posture. Set your feet to everything up so it looks like, let's say if you had a 5-iron in your hands. I got my cross. So now I want to turn the top half without my bottom half. So my belt buckle stays in the same place, my lower body is a statue, etc. So it's just going to be a big turn right and a big turn left. So if you look though, that right shoulder is coming underneath me. I'm not in a shrug, I'm not elevating. I'm staying on plane. And again, having this stick or club at your chest will help ensure that you're actually doing it. All right, so those of you who felt reasonably stable there, continue. Those of you who did not, you can kneel again like we did earlier, or you can throw the leg up here. So for those of you that are making this transition, you're going to go one side at a time. Those of you who are still doing your hip twister, continue on, please. Again, really work on refining that movement. So if you happen to have the stick or the club, we go up and overhead. I like to squeeze it and crush it. Like I want to shorten the length of the stick for stability, squeeze the glutes, and you only turn over top of that knee. We're doing it this way because this creates stability. Stability maybe that you were lacking. So this gives you an opportunity to still improve your capacity to separate, even if that first version of this wasn't so great. Those of you who are still doing the initial hip twister, sorry, you can take a brief break. We're just going to go 2 reps the other way now. All right, relax. So, we've gone through some basic mobility, some basic stability, and some basic separation work. Now, we're going to get a little bit more advanced, a little bit more complicated with some of what we're going to do here. So, if you are not able to lunge, this is not for you, and that's okay. If you can lunge, awesome. So what we're going to do here is we're going to get into a reverse lunge, find our bottom position, try our best to be stable through our top half, and we're going to rotate into our bottom half and rotate our top half. So here's what I would have you do. I want you to go prisoner pose for me. So that means interlace fingers, hands behind the head. Let's get into a reverse lunge. Find that bottom position where you're stable. And I want you to feel like you're equally loaded between the front leg and the back leg. So I don't want you here in a big hinge. This time I actually want you to be a little taller and kind of sunk into this position. Crisscross. We're going to work on separation. So squeeze those glutes and let's turn. Now, I happen to do a lot of steel maze flow where I stay in lunge positions like this for a while. This might be challenging for you. Again, equal weight distribution will give you a better chance of staying in this position for a longer period of time. You're squeezing your glutes. Another thing you can even do to help create stability is the left foot, which is forward. Push that forward and push the right foot back. Like you want to rip a hole in the earth. Come out of there. That was 3 turns each way. Let's switch the leg. So left leg now for me is going back. Just make sure you switch. We're sunk in. We're spreading the earth. Glutes are on. Let's turn. If you feel like you can lower that back knee even more, go for it. Switch her up. We're going to go one more per side here. We're sunk in, everything's on, spread the earth, tall torso. Again, lower if you'd like. And hopefully what you're seeing out of me is my lower half is stable, my belt buckle doesn't move even though I'm turning that top half left to right. Finding my sweet spot again, same story. Don't mind the ambulance driving by. I'm sweating a little bit, maybe you are now too. Alright, next piece of the puzzle, I have a step here that I'm going to be able to use, like an aerobic step. If you have an ottoman or anything along those lines, there goes the ambulance, this should work out for you too. Worst case, you can lay on your stomach and replicate a whole bunch of what we're going to do. So, again, another important attribute here is shoulder stability for a golfer, and really particularly in the the lead arm. So if I'm a righty, talking about your left shoulder. So if we don't have really good shoulder stability or scapular stability, to try to sound smarter than I am, when I get here, I'm not going to be able to keep that elbow locked. So I'm going to end up bending that elbow, and that's just a variable that you don't want in your swing because more things can go wrong. So let's go ahead and set up here. If you have an ottoman, grab it. If you have to just land on your stomach, that's okay too. I'm going to grab mine now. So we're going to go after a really old school TPI exercise here. These are called T's, Y's, L's, and W's, and it's all about the muscles of the upper back here. So again, you can see my step. If you've got your ottoman, cool. If you're going to have land on your stomach, that's okay. I'm going to give you a really quick visual of what the 4 moves are, and then we're going to do them together. So I'm going to be hands and knees for a sec. I'm going to lay my stomach or my chest on this guy. So my arms are just going to be at my sides. Now through all this stuff, we don't want to shrug up because we don't want the movement coming from the upper trap, which is kind of like your neck muscles. We want to think more lower trap and rhomboids and all those muscles that support the shoulder blades that are a bit lower. So that's your target. If you're starting to feel upper neck, reset your blades and continue. If you can't get out of your neck, you might be best suited to just pause it or stop it altogether. So here's what your T's are going to look like. My arms are at my sides. I'm set. My ribs are down and in. We're there. Now, obviously this is something you could wait, but right now I'm assuming you don't have a whole lot of equipment available to you. When you do 2, 3, 4 pounds, some people maybe even 5, but that's about as heavy as I go. So those are your T's. We're then going to transition to Y. So, kind of like the YMCA dance, if you will. I like going thumb up in this case. And then we're going to go to I's. So this is external rotation of the shoulder joint. So I'm going to go elbows high, everything's set. You notice the 90-degree bend in my elbows. I'm externally rotating up towards you, and I'm returning. This is one you're going to have to check every now and again to see what's actually going on with your elbow position and the height of those arms. A lot of times they'll start to fall down. You don't need to, but you do it. The last one is a W. So I'm going to go into a similar position as my I, but then I'm going to straighten my elbows a little bit. So maybe I'm at a 45-degree bend. I'm in, and I'm raising up laterally. So if you're looking down at me from up above, my arms and my head, they form the W. Let's go to the beginning. Let's call it 8 reps for everything. So ribs down in, abs on. Let's go thumbs up for this too. Let's go 8 T's. So again, you really want to sink your shoulder blades down and back, but before that the ribs are down and in, you don't want to be in your neck here. You want to do all you can to be in those muscles that support your blades, your lower traps, your rhomboids, your teres major, etc. I'm sure you know the names of all those exercises. Let's go 2 more here. You'll notice I can't count, so if it's not really 8, I'm sorry. I'm comfortable with my inability to count. All right, now, let's get those arms a little bit out in front of you. So we're going to go up into our Y. So again, set your blades, ribs down in, abs on. Really high lift, thumb up to the ceiling. If you're feeling your neck, see if you can set those shoulder blades down and back a little bit more. Cue I love to give is put your shoulder blades into your back pocket. Notice my elbows are nice and straight here too. Just like they were on my tee. We're going to go 2 more here. Alright, 50% of the way done. We're now going to go into those eyes. So this is going to be that rotator cuff, the external rotator movement here. So I got upper arm parallel to the ground. Now if you're laying on your stomach, I'm sorry, you're just going to hang out and watch here. I got the 90-degree bends in my elbows. And from this position, I'm lifting up and I'm returning. So it's like I want to take the back of my hand up towards the ceiling. You can be open hand or closed fist, either one's okay. Again, we don't want to be up in that neck. What you might feel is a little bit of action kind of in this area here. Those are some of the external rotators in your rotator cuff. That's okay. We still don't want neck. Last one done. All right, finally, W's. So, same general position. Straighten the elbows out a little bit and come on down. So we should have about a 45-degree bend in the elbows. So from where I am, if you look, 90, 45. We're lifting, and once again, we're trying to light up the same musculature and still stay out of that neck. So if you're not starting to get a little fatigued right now, good for you. Most people probably are. The whole way here, as I get to the top, I'm really trying to keep my fist high, and really as high as my elbow is. Let's go 3 more here. On this one, I'm really thinking about squeezing my blades together as I lift. So when I'm working with someone here, what I'll often do, that's number 8, I'll put my fingers in between their shoulder blades, and I'm cueing them to crush my hand with their shoulder blades as they get up to the top of that W. All right, last thing for the day here. So you need something to sit on, and if pistol squats are new to you, I recommend that you get something that's a little higher rather than something that's really low to the ground. So we're not going to do a whole lot of these. We're going to go maybe 5 reps. So whatever it is that you're going to be sitting on, and you're scrambling right now probably to figure out what that thing is, make sure it's not going to slide on you. So the step that I've been using, I now just got it fixed to the wall. So before we jump into the hard version of this exercise, we need to show your brain that you're not going to die when you try to do a squat on one leg, because there's absolutely something back here to sit on. So I like to do a couple of regular squats first, just to make sure that I'm good and like show my brain everything will be okay. So when we squat, I like to go kind of wide feet, arms are reached out in front of me, slow control, I'm sitting, firing my glutes, and I'm rising back up. And to be clear, like this may be your spot. This might be all you need. It's a good exercise for glutes, a little bit for quads. The better your squat is, the less likely you are to go into early extension. So that's a good thing if you know what that swing fault is. All right, that's my few. I show my brain it's okay, that's back there. The challenge on this is more about controlling the descent than anything else. So we're going to slow and controlled sit, and I'm okay with the full-on sit, but if you're advanced and you don't need anything, come out in an open space, challenge yourself, good for you. That's not the card to me right now. So I want to be far enough back so I know when I go down, I'm not going to miss. Make sure you do the same. We'll reach the arms out. I like to go into external rotation, so I'm kind of making a W. And I'm going to reach my other leg, my left leg up nice and high. So if I do this, what I'm starting to do is create tension here. The more tension here, the more stable you're going to be and the better off your life's going to be here. So slow, controlled, we're going to sit, and then we're going to drive it back up. Again, it's all about the control of that descent. It's okay if you lean forward a little bit. It's actually a very natural thing to do. But again, tight, 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 tight. Now, this one, before you go up, squeeze your glutes as hard as you can. Back to glutes again, huh? Last one coming. Relax. So if you had pain in your knee or anywhere that you know is not good, bail on that. That's not for you. For everybody else, let's go to the other side. So let's do a couple reps again to show our brain we're not going to die. There it is. We're going to be good. We're going to be safe. Good. There our base. Now I'm going to throw you some more layers. Inhale down, exhale up. Ribs down in with the abs on always. Glutes on to get you back up from the sitting position. Last thing, the stable leg that we're working on, we don't want that knee collapsing in towards the midline. That's not a golf thing, that's just a biomechanics thing. If that's happening, when we're squatting, we're putting a lot of stress on all your ligaments like ACL and MCL and PCL. We don't want that, that's bad news. Don't get hurt on my watch, please. Four more. Ribs down in, abs on. Tension, tension, tension. Control. There we are. All right, so we went through some mobility, some stability, some separation, and then some general strength work. So to be clear, this was a really basic, fundamental workout that I'll put anyone through who I didn't assess. What's really nice about the TPI program, though, is if you meet with a professional, whether it's a golf professional or a fitness professional like me, or even a medical professional, you get put through an evaluation. And that evaluation process will help them determine what you actually need. So we correlate poor movement quality in our assessment to what your swing looks like. So a lot of times, if we're good enough, we can tell you your swing faults without ever seeing you actually swing a club. And then the corrective exercise program that we put together is based on fixing those physical limitations that you have. And you know, if you're working with a golf pro, sometimes they have to work around those physical limitations that you have. So they might have to shorten up your backswing or do something creatively so that you don't fall apart in the middle of your swing because you're lacking in physical ability. TPI is not about improving your equipment or anything along those lines, it's about improving you. So therefore you now have added mobility, stability, separation, power, and then as a result your game will start to improve. So if that's something you're interested in, I do that. I do that live and I do that online, so reach out. I will post the exercises that we did up here so you can use them as a reference if you want to do this again, but there's a basic TPI workout for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope sometime soon everything that's going on normalizes and you can get back on the course again. Thanks so much. Have a great day. See you around. We'll be doing more live stuff soon.